What is up, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time, a little a Wednesday edition, I think. I don't know what day it is. Is that right? That sounds right. Feels right.
Good enough.
It's good. All right, we're on it. Yeah, we're cruising here this morning. It's an early one here. We've got a little split slate. So we've got an early slate, and then we've got another slate. We're going to have Crunch Times for both of them. And for both shows, we're going to bring on some of the sharpest minds in the biz. It's what we do here at RotoGrinders. We got my guy, TJ Schwartz, in the house. What up, TJ?
You know, coming in with my mouse died on my computer, so I'm here on my laptop. But that still means I'm ready to roll, even though I feel like it's close up and I don't like how I look. But we'll deal with it. Got a kinked neck. You know, woke up with one of those kinked neck. It hurts to turn to the side, but doesn't mean we can't help the people win some money today. Let's do it.
It's not going to stop the Spidey bombs. I know that. Nope. The Spidey bombs are going to be coming. Make sure we get those likes up. You are not the only one battling tech issues, my friend, because my guy Tasteful Tides Tim also coming at us with the low camera angle because he's also using not the fancy equipment.
My fancy camera is on the fritz, so I'm not using my fancy camera. So, yeah, we're all having a little tech issues. Yeah, I filled in for you a couple times, Roth, hosting, and please don't ever leave again, okay?
How'd that go?
Can you not leave ever again? How about that?
Yeah, I rarely do. That's the good news. During baseball season, it is a rare occurrence. How'd that go for you? Because the people were probably like, hey, now instead of 2 smart people and 1 idiot, we have 3 smart people. So I imagine that went okay.
Well, it was great because there was no weather.
Yeah.
So that was there was one game because you said on your little thing to like look at weather.com, and there was one game where there was like a big storm bearing down on like a really popular game, and I was like, like what do we do now?
What do we do?
Right. So there's no Kevin to save the day, but luckily there was no issue. So
okay. Hopefully, yeah. I probably gave an update or tweeted an update.
You did, but it was still like super close, and it was like a very popular spot. So I was like, I really hope he updates like now.
Yeah, you don't want to have to step into those shoes for sure.
Right.
Well, hey, we're happy everything got straightened out. We're happy that you guys are here to join us. I mentioned this show, by the way, sponsored by Fanduel. In case you didn't know that, make sure you're signing up for the Fanduel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets, plus $100 off NFL Sunday ticket. That's a good deal. Terms and conditions do apply. What is also a good deal is free content, and that's what we're pushing to you guys right now. So hit us with a little thumbs up. Let's dive into it here. And who wants to kind of lead us off on this? Tim, you want to give it a go here about what the overall look is and then where we want to start with pitchers?
So the first thing that I want to discuss is what FanDuel is doing. They have a very early only slate that starts at 105, and that's a 5-game slate. And then they have an early only slate that starts at 307, and that's a 4-game slate. So there's a little bit difference of like, you know, what we need to discuss real quick about those games. You know, pitcher wise, hitter wise, it's obviously different because there's different slates. So on the very early only slate, it's definitely going to be Brandon Woodruff as your cash game pitcher. He's going to be very, very easy to fit. And I like Tanner Bybee as like my tournament pivot on that slate. And then on the early only slate on FanDuel, it's going to be Logan Webb as your cash game chalkier pitcher. And then TJ, who's pitching for Seattle? I'm blanking. Is it Miller?
Hold on, I'll pull it up right now. Sorry, I was just switching in and out of a tab, looking something up.
It is Miller. Yes.
Yeah.
Miller.
So Miller would be like your tournament pivot on that slate. So I just wanted to kind of go over that kind of difference in FanDuel because the prize pools are pretty similar between those 2 early slates on FanDuel. And then DraftKings is quite a bit easier to break down. You know, we have quite a few games. We have a lot of really strong pitchers. And then I think that we don't have like a stack that is going to really separate itself from another one. You know, it's pretty bunched up in terms of stacks.
Well, let's dive into the pitcher side of things, Tim, here, because I'm looking at one game in particular, the game at Wrigley. You got winds blowing in 15 to 20 miles per hour, temperatures in the 60s. That is literally, and we had a similar weather game last night, and I think the total was 1-0. Was the end score, and a guy hit an absolute bomb to left, and it was an out. Like it's that kind of impact, and I think we're going to see it again. So I assume or hope we can play pitchers there.
Yes, absolutely. Brandon Woodruff is absolutely your SP1 on TK. If he's really only going to be 27% in tournaments, I would try to get over that pretty aggressively. He's by far the top option on the slate, in my opinion. The Cubs pitcher, Kyle Hendricks, he's cheap, but I don't really have that much interest in him. Like you could pitch him. Like you said, it's amazing weather, but he's not as strong an option just because I don't think he really has that much strikeout upside.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, what else do you like here as you're kind of going through things? Any other names you want to bring up?
DraftKings, it's Logan Webb and Brandon Woodruff in cash easily. That's easily your cash game pairing. Yeah. I love Tanner Bybee in tournaments at 14% ownership. He's facing a Twins team that is like just so strikeout heavy. Bybee has a monster leash too. Like they let him throw like into the high 90s, and he doesn't seem to be getting a whole lot of attention. Bryce Miller is fine going up against the Athletics, but he doesn't have the leash potential quite. They usually kind of limit him to around like 80, 85 pitches. And then the other guy that I would mention is Hunter Green. He's like such a boom bust option every single time he goes out. He's facing the Giants. And also, I'd like to say I don't mind some Giant stacks too, because he's such a volatile pitcher. He's got really great strikeout stuff, but he can also be wild and just absolutely atrocious.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I feel like that's with him every time he's there. You can play him, you can stack against him. Both are viable here. Let's bring in TJ. I want to get your pitching takes, and let's start with kind of that top duo, Webb and Woodruff, in tournaments. Is that where you're going as well, or are you trying to pivot off of that?
That would be my favorite pairing for tournaments as well today. They're both just in such good spots. Webb against the Cincinnati team that's been struggling a little bit and really striking out a lot, with a huge park downgrade for them going into San Francisco. So I really like Webb today alongside Woodruff in that massive win game. I've been mostly paying down for pitcher lately, but on this slate, I do think those two pay up options are the two best, and then you try and find some cheap bats to pair with them. If I'm going cheap, the guys I'd be looking at would be Kyle Gibson, Kyle Hendricks, Christopher Sanchez. I really like the Hunter Green, but especially Tanner Bybee call in the mid tier. I think Bybee's an awesome play today. And in like MME builds, I think I'd even take some shots on Zach Neal, just because if he's not terrible, he should get over 80 pitches. And even though Seattle's been lights out lately, they also strike out a lot, and he's 4,500. That's just so stupidly cheap. So at no ownership and 4,500, I would take some shots in MME builds.
And can I just real quick, and also with Seattle, they're kind of banged up. Like Rodriguez might not be in the lineup. Ty France might not be in the lineup. So both those guys left the game early yesterday. So that lineup could be even worse, which would boost Neal even more. So I really like that call.
Okay. Any interest in Framber Valdez? I thought he was really, really good. Am I missing the boat? Is he not anymore? Why do we not have interest there?
I would say that he's a good real life pitcher, like, really strong, but I would say that he's priced pretty high, and it's not a very good strikeout matchup. So it's kind of like, I just don't want to pay that price for someone I don't think has the ceiling. I don't know if TJ agrees with that or not, but that's my
viable in large field tournaments. But I agree. I personally wouldn't be getting there just because tough matchup, really tough ballpark, and a high price tag.
Okay, these are all great answers. Thank you for enlightening me. Okay, I think with that, we can kind of kick it on over to the flip side of the coin, and that, of course, being the bats and the stacks. A lot of options here. It's a pretty decent-sized slate. So, TJ, you want to lead us off there? Also, we have multiple people saying, I want the Spidey bombs. We need Spidey. Any Spidey bombs? Wait a minute. Where are the Spidey bombs? Those are all comments. The people want the bombs, TJ.
Yeah, let's get into the Spidey bombs. We got about 200 people watching here. Let's go 50 likes for the first, 75 likes for the second, and then 100 likes for Spidey bomb number 3. Let's pump those likes up, and we got some Spidey bombs ready for the people.
Okay, very good. Let's talk about the slacks. Let's talk about the stacks. We can talk about Slack as well. It's a fine tool for work. Let's talk about the stacks, TJ. What do you got? What do you like?
So fairly even across the board today. We've had Atlanta in Coors Field lately, and that has really, really taken priority as a top stack lately. We don't have them on this slate. They're coming later in the day. And so for stacks today, it's fairly evenly spread out. And my top tier, I think, today is going to be the St. Louis Cardinals. I like quite a bit today. The Seattle Mariners, they're probably the number 1 stack. I think it's going to depend a lot on that lineup. Like we said, we're going to want to take some shots on Neal, but Seattle is probably going to be like my favorite tournament stack regardless, just because they're not picking up all that much projected ownership right now, and they're facing Oakland outside of Oakland. So it's a better park, and that Oakland pitching staff is very poor, especially when you get into that bullpen. So I don't mind taking shots on Neal, but I also really like Seattle on the other side. I do like Houston, but I do have some respect for Cutter Crawford. And so I'm kind of torn on that one because Houston has been so wildly incredible, but Crawford's been pretty decent as well. So I think Houston is in that top tier, but I do have a little bit of pause outside of their lefties. And then the last 2 teams I'd want to mix in would be Toronto. Corbin is just terrible, and I get that the Blue Jays haven't been great against lefties this year, but Corbin is just awful, and so the Blue Jays, I think, are a great stack, especially on FanDuel where they're super cheap. And then the Baltimore Orioles going up against Dylan Cease, especially their lefties, I like quite a bit for tournaments at low ownership.
Okay, very good. Tim, where are you looking as far as stacks go? Also got a weather comment from Jordan in the chat. I'm going to look that up real fast. But Tim, where are you looking stack-wise?
Yeah, so my top stack is actually going to be Toronto going up against Corbin. I completely agree. Like, they're not as good against lefties. I don't really care. I think they're priced pretty nicely on DraftKings. I can fit really whoever I want at pitching and still stack Toronto. And so I'm gonna attack Patrick Corbin. So they're my favorite top stack. Houston would be my number 2. I don't really have that much respect for Cutter Crawford. I think he's going to get I don't know. I think he's mostly just fraudulent, and he's going to get some regression in the wrong way.
Oof.
So I think Houston is in a really, really good spot. So if you can get to like Alvarez and Tucker, if you need to pay down at SB2 to get those guys, I think that's a really strong play. I like the Phillies quite a bit. And I think that would probably be my top tier of stacks.
Okay. Did anyone mention Toronto? Stan in the chat says any interest.
Yeah,
in
they're my personal number 1.
Oh, great.
They're my number 1 stack.
And they're probably my number 2.
Okay, very good. I got a question. Jordan says, hey, bad hitting weather in St. Louis, it looks like. And so I've pulled up Weather Edge here, which is a tool that lets us know exactly what the impacts of those winds will be. You've got winds blowing in from center-ish around 11 miles per hour. In 21 similar weather games, home runs have decreased 21%. So that is a bit of a drop-off. But if you compare that to, let's say, Wrigley, those winds blowing in from left at 17 miles per hour, home runs have decreased almost 50%. Total runs scored dropped 13% in that. So yes, it is not ideal hitting weather in St. Louis, but it's still 80 degrees, and it's not like those winds are Wrigley level impact. So bad hitting weather might be a bit of a stretch, but I will say it's not particularly good hitting weather for sure. With that, I think we can kind of take it around the horn and go position by position. Tim, you want to lead us off with some catcher talk?
Sure. Alejandro Kirk batting 5th at 3K, I think is my favorite catcher on the slate. Logan O'Hop batting 6th at 3,200. Cal Raleigh, if you can get up to him, is probably the best like raw point potential catcher, the big dumper. Wilson Contreras is a great option. And then I don't know, like I'm trying to see if there's any like real cheap catchers,
Whoa.
and I don't really like that many.
I don't know if you just saw what TJ just pulled there, but he just came at us from multiple angles. It was terrifying. We were in a TJ sandwich, and he was attacking us. I didn't like it. TJ, you okay?
Yeah, my mouse is back in action, and so I can go on my regular.
On your good
again.
Okay, for a moment, you were on your good one and your bad one at the same time, and it was really disturbing. It was like something out of a Marvel movie, and not in a good way.
I did that on purpose, and then Steve helped me out and fully supported it. So we didn't talk about it, but we were fully in sync there.
Well, okay, let's kick it over to you here. What are your thoughts on catcher?
Oh, me. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We got Tim's thoughts there.
I was a little frazzled. Favorite catcher for tournaments today, Cal Raleigh. I see Cheese has him tagged as well. Not projecting for super high ownership today. I don't really understand the low ownership projection on Seattle. I'm guessing that's probably just because we're projecting like some potential injuries, and that's a later game. We don't have the lineup yet, but I really think they're in a great spot for tournaments. To kind of affirm what I said earlier, I want to really load up on either playing the super cheap pitcher Neal in tournaments or Seattle stacks. So that's why Seattle, I'm probably going to get like 20-30% of that terrible $4,500 pitcher, but I'm also going to have Seattle as my highest owned stack today in tournaments. Alejandro Kirk is a great cheap option batting 5th. When I was switching over, I kind of missed what Tim said, but I'm assuming that's like a potential cash game guy today. Nice and cheap, great spot in the lineup, and a wonderful matchup against Corbin. And then I also really love Wilson Contreras today. We have reached enough likes for the first Spidey Bomb, only 20 likes away from our second one. And so the first one, not great weather, but I'm trusting the power. Sticking with St. Louis, and Jordan Walker batting 5th today is plus 600 on Fanduel to hit a home run, and he is Spidey Bomb number 1.
Okay, very good. How about first base, TJ?
First base, I like his teammate Paul Goldschmidt quite a bit today in tournaments. Vladdy Guerrero, I think, is kind of the top optimal option on both sites today. It's just there. I guess he's not on the very early only slate for FanDuel. I was looking at the second one there, but I love Vladimir Guerrero today where he's available. Bryce Harper, Paul Goldschmidt, those are kind of my 3 favorite options. And then if you need to pay down, save some salary, I think I would. I don't mind Seth Brown and Ryan Noda, but I also really like Ryan O'Hearn batting 4th against Cease. Great
stuff. Tim, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Vlad is easily my top option. I love his home run odds at plus 475 on DraftKings. I would definitely look into that. I got
him at 580 today, Tim. On
oh, nice. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Where did you get those odds?
So Saskatchewan, where I live in Canada, it doesn't have legal sports betting outside of a website called playnow.com, where it's run like through the government of Saskatchewan, and so all of the money stays in province when you lose, stuff like that.
Okay. Cool. All right. Tim, other thoughts? You like Vladdy Daddy? Who else?
Vladdy Daddy, Goldie would be my number 2. Don't mind the Seth Brown Noda calls. Ryan O'Hearn's fine. And then I think Garrett Cooper for 2,900 batting 6th against Mikolas is a strong value play.
Okay. Excellent. How about second base, Tim?
Yeah. So second base it's always seems to be a very, very weird position. If you have the money, I think a contrarian play would be just to play Jose Altuve. Chances are in cash, that's not going to be the answer, but in tournaments, I think that's fantastic. Tommy Edman would be okay. Whit Merrifield, not my favorite guy to roster, but he is on my favorite stack. so I think he's okay. He's a little bit expensive. He's 4,400. I'm trying to find some like viable punts, like Jimenez for Cleveland for 3,700. I think would be okay. Luis Urias, if you really want to punt, is 2,300 on Boston, but second base is extremely weak. So really, I would just try to either pay up for an expensive one-off or just use a guy in your stack.
Gotcha. All right. TJ, what are you doing at second?
Yeah, I agree with most of Tim's calls today, but I am high. I think a little higher on Whit Merrifield just because I've been touting this guy all year long. You know, I've been getting in arguments with Dean about it. You guys got the second best ISO on the Blue Jays this year against lefties. Give me all the Whit Merrifield today. But that's more of just a dig at Dean because I'll do that anytime I can. I think if you need to kind of do a punt salary saving shot, you can try and do something like a. Sorry, as the dogs go crazy there. I think you can do something like an Edouard Julien, but second base is pretty weak, just like Tim said. So I'm really all aboard the Whit Merrifield train today if I can't spend up for Jose Altuve.
Okay, then how about third base?
Rafael Devers, I think, makes for a very interesting tournament option today. Lefty, nobody's going to play him, but it's Rafael Devers at home in a good park, so I think he's interesting for tournaments. My favorite is probably going to be Gunnar Henderson, 5.3 on DraftKings. He's affordable. I like this guy quite a bit. I got some bets on him today as well. On Fanduel, he's only 3.3. He's going to be a bit more chalky there, but I still really like Gunnar Henderson today. Last two that I'm kind of looking at are, outside of Alex Bregman is great, but like I mentioned, I'm not super high on outside of Tucker and Alvarez, not super high on Houston today. And so my other big guys I'm looking at are Davis Schneider and Nolan Arenado.
Okay, great. Tim, what are you doing there at third base?
Yeah, Davis Schneider would be my number one. Love the Devers call. Have no issue with that at all. Manny Machado, Suarez. I think the Orioles are always a great stack. So Gunnar Henderson is a really good play. I think he's pretty pricey, and I think people are going to be scared because he's going up against Dylan Cease, but Cease isn't exactly a great pitcher. So I think the Orioles are firmly in play for a 3-man stack, 5-man stack, whatever you want to do. Ernie Clement is 2,100 for Toronto. He's third base shortstop. I think that if you need like a salary saving option on a really good team, he would be the guy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful. We might have to go back over pitchers here in a bit because we got Adult Slim in the chat saying, "Hey, sorry I'm late. It's all you can eat pancakes at IHOP, and you can't miss out on that." No, we are fully understanding of the all you can eat pancake situation.
As long as they don't have chocolate chips.
I was just gonna make that joke, Tim.
Right. I mean, that's the worst Roth take of all time.
No, still correct. Blueberry pancakes, yes. Chocolate chip pancakes, no. All right, let's go to. I think we're at shortstop. Tim, what do you like there?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. I don't know. Like, I guess Trevor Story at 4,400 might be the cash game guy. Luis Rendifo is 3,800. Gunnar Henderson, if you have the money, is probably the top play. JP Crawford for 4,300 is a strong play also. Personally, this is where I'm playing Ernie Clement in cash games at 2,100 because I need a punt because I'm playing Webb and Woodford in cash. So this is where I'm punting with Clement.
Okay. TJ, what are you doing there?
I honestly don't have much to add. I agree with everything that Tim said, except I think I'm quite a bit higher on Trey Turner. I think he's probably the top guy at this position, but outside of him, I agree with everything Tim said.
Okay, easy enough. Let's kick it to the outfield and see what we got there. I think there are plenty of solid options and plays. TJ?
I do have a question for you before we get into outfield, Roth, and we're
Sure.
15 likes away from the next Spidey Bomb, so keep smashing that like button so we can get another one out here. But have you ever had a crepe with Nutella on it because it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with this. Yes. So that
is good.
That does kind of flip my breakfast food takes there, but yeah, crepes are delicious, and if you make them like the savory type with some Nutella, then they're 10 out of 10.
If you had said no, I just would have logged off. So.
I would have deserved it. Yeah, I would have just been wrong in that case. Crepe and Nutella, that's a thumbs up, TJ.
That's my like specialty breakfast that I make. Is I'm really big on making crepes, and that's my it was my wife's birthday. It was our anniversary within the past few weeks, and so I've been making lots of crepes with Nutella lately. But outfield
good for you.
12 likes away from the Spidey Bomb. Keep getting it. If he plays, my favorite outfielder on the slate is Julio Rodriguez. I totally recognize this is counteracting what I said about Houston, but I love Tucker and Alvarez and not much the rest of the team. So I do agree that objectively, Alvarez is probably the top outfielder on the slate, and I still love him today. Tucker is great as well. Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper, where you can get him in the outfield, I think is somewhat interesting as well. I like both of those guys. And then the Blue Jays outfielders, George Springer is batting leadoff today. Like him quite a bit. The former Blue Jay, Teoscar Hernandez for Seattle, I like quite a bit as well. You can play Schneider in the outfield if you need to. And then to save some salary, I don't mind the Oakland guys like Seth Brown, who I mentioned earlier. And then are there any other cheapies that I really don't mind here? Dominic Canzoni, I like quite a bit as well.
Okay, great. Tim, your thoughts there?
Yeah, when considering price and stack, Springer is my favorite outfielder. If you have the money, like in any format, Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker would probably be my favorite, like raw point outfielders. You might only be able to get one. Obviously, Alvarez would be better if you can get to him, like in cash games. I think they're great plays. I think some of these Oriole outfielders like Santander, you could play Ryan O'Hearn in the outfield also. I think they'd be kind of sneaky. I agree with TJ, like Teoscar Hernandez definitely is a great play. Kyle Schwarber, I think, is always good for tournaments also. Davis Schneider, again, another Toronto guy that you can play. Jock Peterson against Hunter Green. Like we want to attack Hunter Green, and I think the Reds only have one lefty in their bullpen, so his pinch hit risk is much smaller than it normally would be. So I think he would make for a really strong one-off.
Okay, very good, guys. We're starting to come up on the lock, but we need some home run calls. We've only got one Spidey Bomb, and that's not enough. TJ, how close are we to Spidey Bomb number 2?
8 likes away. The people are lacking with the like button today. There's like 250 of you here. We should easily be able to get to 100. So keep smashing the like button. I got another one for you at 75 likes. So we're 8 away right now. Hit the like button, and then hopefully we can get Spidey Bomb number 2 as soon as Tim's taters are out of the way.
Well, one tater is Vlad Guerrero plus 475 on DK. That is a tater. That's a tater.
Okay. We got one tater locked in. Tim, you got another home run call for me? Maybe someone a little more, not Vlad.
Not Vladdy. All right, I gotta look, Roth. I'm not prepared for a second tater.
That's all right. And TJ,
I've been 2 days in a row now. I've had tasty taters for supper. Like they're literally called tasty taters from McCain, and they're
what is a tasty tater?
They're little like tater tots.
Oh, you didn't just eat tater tots for dinner, did you?
Last time I did just eat tater tots as like a late night snack. But the night before last, no, I guess like, so I didn't eat them at the same time, but I had the same thing 2 nights in a row. I had barbecued burgers with tater tots.
Oh, okay.
And then the next day I had one burger left over. So I just threw it in the microwave, threw some tater tots in the air fryer, ate the burger first. Then when the tater tots were done, then I ate them after.
Okay. See, that's much more reasonable. I'm just making sure you're not eating tater tots for dinner here. I just got to do a welfare check on you if that's the case. Okay, Tim, what do you got here? Taters, Tim's taters. What do you like?
I'll do JD Davis plus 600 on PointsBet.
Okay, wonderful.
Also on DraftKings plus 600.
Okay, we got some home run questions. TJ, we got to be at 75.
We're
You got
2
my
likes
like.
away. I need 2 more people to hit the like button. I'll give you Spidey Bomb number 2 right now. We're going to Toronto with Tim, and it's Davis Schneider batting second today. He's going to keep up the hot streak. Plus 575 on Bet365, plus 475 on DraftKings. Davis Schneider is Spidey Bomb number 2.
Very good. Speaking of hot streaks here, Kyle in the chat says, does Royce Lewis make it 4 games in a row with a homer? Royce Lewis, any interest?
No.
I don't.
Okay. There you go. The answer, I do believe, is no. We did have a couple people joining late. It's understandable. It's an early show. Can we briefly go over pitcher? Tim, your favorite 2 in cash. It was the top 2, like the double spend up, right?
Yeah, it was definitely Woodruff and Logan Webb for cash games, 100%. That's easy to me. And then Tanner Bybee for tournaments, Hunter Green for tournaments, Bryce Miller for tournaments, but definitely Webb and Woodruff for cash.
Very good. TJ, any other names you want to throw in there, or that about covers it?
No, I like the same guys today. I'm Woodruff and Webb is my favorite pairing up top. If I'm trying to get different in tournaments in the mid tier, I like Bybee and Green. And then if I'm taking some cheap shots, Hendricks and Gibson, Sanchez, I'm good with all of them. But I really like the idea of, if I was making just 2 lineups today, one of them would have Zach Neal and the other one would be a full Seattle stack.
Okay.
And I also think Chris Bassett is interesting at 7,900. I think he
Bassett
could
can
be.
play too.
Yeah, he's got a really large leash, but he's only 7,900, so he's a good play also.
Okay, great. Let's dive into a few of these QQs. I think we've got 5 minutes until lock. That's just kind of or a few minutes until lock, 3 minutes until lock. Let's see here. DKGPPs. Luke Cage says, TJ and Tim, how much web do you have? How much web do you each have?
Well, I only play single entries, but he's on my team, so that's
so 100% is kind of the answer there. TJ, let's say you're playing 20 lineups, how much web would you have?
About 40 to 50%.
Perfect answer. Greatness says, hey, with the Twins being hot, is that a reason to maybe get off of Bybee? You guys are both on Bybee, so you're not scared.
I love Bybee in tournaments today. He's one of my favorite GPP pitchers. I don't care about if a team's hot or not. This team is loaded with strikeouts.
JB says, DKGPP, how mad are you going to be when Lenin Sosa hits another bomb? Are you going to be mad? Would we be mad about that? Do you normally get mad when people hit home runs?
No, let it fly, man.
I'm not going to be mad if he does.
Yeah. I think the answer is 0. There will be 0 anger between the 3 of us if he hits a bomb.
Yeah, J-Rod's not in the Mariners lineup, just so everybody knows. So
okay,
yeah.
And who was the pitcher that was going against Seattle?
Who was that cheap guy, TJ? Neal. Yeah,
Zach Neal.
Do we have interest here now that Seattle is a watered down version of themselves?
I think he could be maybe a part of a pool, like 1 or 2 lineups out of 20 or something like that. But I don't have a ton of interest.
Yeah. Okay.
I would where I would differ is if I was playing 20 lineups, I would probably have him in 5, 6, or 7, maybe even. But I would probably have at least 7 or 8 full Seattle stacks in there too.
Gotcha. Okay. Do we think Bybee can get the win today? You think Bybee can get the win points? Yeah. Nods in agreement. That'll work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Zach says, if you had to pick Royce or Correa, Royce Lewis or Correa, TJ, who do you prefer, Royce Lewis or Correa?
I guess I'd probably try and ride the Royce train.
Okay. We're less than a minute until lock. DK Cash, Tim, any interest in Mater as a last piece at second?
No. Try to get to Clement as your cheap middle infielder.
Okay. Very good. Hey, with that,
running Sosa.
Yeah.
With that, we've hit lock, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you hit us with a little thumbs up. Keep in mind, we're going to be back again. More free content later on today. We got another crunch time coming your way. We'll be after Grinders Live So make sure you're hanging out with us all day long here on RotoGrinders. Sign up for the RotoGrinders Premium. You can get these guys' analysis in depth all day long, every day, 7 days a week. It's what we do. Football right around the corner. For TJ, for Tim, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. We will catch you later tonight. You have been crunched.